Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 3.
Hello, America. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the nation. The phone number is 877-973-7425. If you'd like to be on the program, I gotta apologize to those of you who gave up on me on the phones. I want to go to Susan here in just a second. I had the call screening up on my screen, and I guess it froze because I never saw that there were calls until Charlie texted me and said, "You got calls. People have been waiting quite a while." And I rebooted refreshed the screen and suddenly could see all the calls. Totally on me. My apologies for making you guys wait. I try never to do that, but Susan's been waiting quite a while as well. So let me go on out of the gate here. Susan, welcome to the show. And again, apologize for the wait.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for taking my call. I have something that DeSantis and all the other Republican candidates need to talk about. The Biden administration's war on the middle class and lower income earners beyond middle class. There's an article, it was from Fox, I think it's up today, and it talked about how the Biden administration is now going to go after air conditioning, kitchen appliances, washer dryers, ceiling fans, mini splits, all this other stuff on energy usage, and it's just going to drive up the prices. I mean, it's talking about how air conditioning now, if you get it installed in your house, it's gone up by $1,000 just because of regulations. But at the same time, on the day before yesterday, I saw an AP article that talked about, the headline was, "Record heat waves illuminate plights of poorest Americans who suffer without air conditioning." Well, it's not going to be just the poorest Americans who suffer without it. It's going to be middle-class people because nobody's going to be able to afford it. And they need to these candidates need to start talking about how the Biden administration and Democrats in general, they're not the front of the middle class. Or this upper class people.
Such a good issue. I heard someone today refer to the elite in the country as the Brahmins, that elite class of people,
Caste
and
system,
they are in the caste system, and everyone else has to have the leftovers while they are in the life luxury. This reminds me, and Susan, this is such a good point. I need to get Frank Windsor on the program. Frank. Let me just tell you the story. So there's this thing, I mentioned it before, Plugola Payola, where if you get something on the radio, you're supposed to disclose it, and a lot of people don't, and I take it very seriously. I mentioned on air that my kid was using up our hot water. We got an electric water heater, and it's just, she has very long hair. She's a teenager. She takes long showers. It's just gone. No hot water in my house. Well, Frank is the president of Renai, and they make the tankless water heaters that Paul Harvey, when I was a kid, would advertise for. Said, one day I'm going to build a house and I'm going to get one of these. Well, he called. He's like, listen, we will put one in your house. Want you to experience it. So they were very kind. I didn't pay for it. They put it in the house. They were just very, very kind. And it's like, we don't need an ad deal. You don't have to mention it. We just want you to experience it. Fan of the show. But I need to get him on the program because Renai makes the really famous tankless water heaters that they use gas. Mine uses propane from our propane tank, and they heat the water very efficiently. And the government would ban their water heaters, even though they're the most efficient water heaters, because the government doesn't like the fact that they're using gas to heat the water. They want you to go to highly inefficient electric water heaters, or these newfangled water heaters that run through your heat pump air conditioning system. And of course, the air conditioning manufacturers of America are all in love with this regulation because it puts the guys who specialize in water heaters out of business and makes you even more dependent on your AC unit to do everything in your house. And when the AC unit breaks, you're kablooey. No hot water, no air conditioning, no heat, no nothing. And they don't care because they're making money. And the government is doing this because they've decided they're either going to make a really cheap water heater for the poor that breaks and you got to replace it every couple of years, or they're going to drive up your costs. So you can't say everything's going to be expensive because they're like, no, you can buy this cheap water heater that lasts for 2 years, or you can do the fancy whole home through your heat pump unit, but you can't get the most efficient water heater on the market, these tankless water heaters like Rinnai sells and others. And Rinnai, of course, headquartered here in Georgia where I am, they sell all over the country, and you'd be harming an American business that actually specializes in and makes highly efficient tankless water heaters. And they're fantastic. Y'all, I got to tell you, my utility bill we had 2 electric water heaters under our house in the crawl space. In exchange for just one, you couldn't fit one under there, so you had 2 of them. My utility bill, like my Georgia Power electric bill, is like $200 less than it has been by switching those out for this tankless one. And they just sip the propane. I haven't had to fill up the tank. It's phenomenal. It really is. I'm so glad I have this, and it would be banned. And now they won't come yank mine out because I've already got it. It'll be grandfathered in, but you won't be able to get one in the future. And it's absurd because they're so efficient. They work so well. The government is trying to drive up costs on everyone. Your gas stoves. So many poor people have gas stoves. I grew up, my grandparents always had a gas stove. My parents now live in my grandparents' house. They have the gas stove. It still works fine. When I go up to North Georgia to the mountains where it's prone in the wintertime to have snow and the like, and so power outages, people have home generators that are run on gas. The government's trying to wipe those out, and they're trying to wipe out the gas stove. So the irony is, not only will you not be able to have heat because you won't be able to buy the generators, you won't be able to have a stove to cook on because you can't have a gas stove. It's absurd. They want to get rid of gas water heaters. They want to get rid of all of these things. They want to drive up your costs, and they do not care about you. They do not care. And the Republicans have failed to articulate this message. The Republicans cannot bring themselves to make this a campaign issue. They're coming for your water heaters. They're coming for your air conditioners. They're coming for your stoves. They're coming for your cars. They're driving up your costs. The repair rate is ridiculous on these new things. You know, there is a conspiracy theory, and I actually do not subscribe to the conspiracy theory, but I understand why people believe it, that the companies have degraded the quality of their products so that you have to buy them every few years. Your dishwasher breaks, your refrigerator breaks, your washing machine breaks. That's not actually the reason why. They do not actually want a reputation for breaking, like Maytag for years. With washers and dryers, Maytag for years had the reputation of you buy it once, you're never going to have to buy it again. And that's how they sold themselves for years. And it was true. But the problem is government regulation has made them make changes that cause them to break more regularly. It's government regulation. I mean, the proof in the pudding here is the KitchenAid mixer. My wife and I have a KitchenAid mixer. You know, we both like to cook. And we've been using this KitchenAid mixer of ours for 15 years. And we had one before it, and it didn't break. We gave it away because we wanted a bigger one. And so my wife gave her KitchenAid mixer, which was like a 4.5 quart one, to her mom, who's been using it for 15 years, plus the 10 years that we had it or so. And we're using one that's 15 years. And KitchenAid is now KitchenAid. We've got a KitchenAid double oven in our house, and it's garbage. Do not like the KitchenAid double ovens. Absolute garbage trash. One day I want a Wolf double oven with a better warranty and more effective. The KitchenAid, the big appliances from KitchenAid I find are garbage. But the KitchenAid mixer, they are known for the KitchenAid mixer, and the KitchenAid mixer works. Our Cuisinart food processor we've had for probably 20 years, and it works great. We haven't had to replace it. Our Instant Pots are known for never having to replace them. In fact, some people have claimed that the reason they went out of business, they went bankrupt, is because once you bought one, you never had to buy one again, which is nonsense. If you know anything about Instant Pot, they got bought by private equity. Private equity took out a loan on Instant Pot's corporate assets, used the debt to pay the private equity people dividends, and then couldn't repay the debt. And so Instant Pot's gone bankrupt, not because they made a perfect product, but because private equity mismanaged them. It had nothing to do with the fact that you could buy an Instant Pot and never, ever again have to replace it because they work so well. And now the government, through its regulatory process, is driving up our prices and forcing products into an inferior state where they have to be replaced constantly because they suck, not by design of the product intended, but by design of the regulation. All of these people want you to buy it and get it and never have to use it, never have to replace it, and the government makes that impossible. And then you got to recycle them. You got to dispose of them. How do you dispose of them? It's a burden for you and everyone else. This is by government design, not by design of these companies. And here are these tankless water heaters that are highly efficient. But they don't like them because they use gas. They don't like them because they give you some measure of comfort. The Brahman caste, the elite of Washington, New York, California, they don't care about you in the middle class. They actually wish there were less of you to save the planet. And they will degrade your living. It's remarkable to me that the philosophy of these people, of John Kerry and the like, is that you must give up beef and eat bugs and freeze in the wintertime so that they don't have to give up their private jets. I would love a private jet too. I'd love to use Priority Jet all the time to fly around this country. Can't afford it. I'd love to do it. It is a luxury. It's a very expensive one. That's what they want to do. But in exchange, so that they sleep well at night, you got to eat bugs and stop eating cows. You got to have a terrible stove. You got to have a terrible water heater. You got to have a terrible dishwasher. You got to have a terrible washing machine. You got to have a terrible dryer. You got to have a terrible car that gets you 100 miles, and you got to plug it up for 5 hours so you can go another 100 miles so that they can fly their private planes. There is an elite in this country populating the Democratic Party. And what's remarkable is because of that elite and what they've done, a majority of Americans believe Donald Trump committed major crimes, and he's still tied with Joe Biden because of all the people put off by the Democrats' policies. It's really remarkable when you think about it. A majority of Americans believe Donald Trump committed crimes against this nation and would still rather have him back in office than have Joe Biden and the arrogance of the left. If the Democrats don't have a wake-up call from that, nothing will wake them up until they are doomed at the polls. I am a small businessman. The company that I run for my radio show, it's a small business. I've got employees. I don't have HR. You may be in that situation and you may really need HR. Well, you may want to talk to Bambi. When running a business, your employees can create all sorts of interesting situations and they could get you in trouble. What happens when two employees are squabbling? One of them smells bad all the time. What do you do? How do you navigate the rules? With Bambi, you get access to your own dedicated HR manager starting at just $99 a month. They're available by phone, email, real-time chat. Onboarding and terminations run smoothly. Team members reach peak performance. Your business stays compliant with changing HR regulations. Let Bambi handle your employees for you. Their HR autopilot automates important HR practices like setting policies, training, and feedback. Listen, you want U.S.-based HR managers who give you experience, expertise, a personal touch you need to make it seem like they're a part of your team. They could cost $80,000 a year, but Bambi starts at $99 a month. Schedule your free conversation today to see how much Bambi can take off your plate. Go to Bambi.com right now. Type in Eric Erickson under podcast when you sign up. It'll help you. It'll help your company grow. It'll help you keep peace of mind. It's spelled B-A-M-B-E-E. BAM, B-E-E.com. Bambi.com. Type in Eric Erickson. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here nationwide. The phone number 877-973-7425. Let's go to the phone. Stacy, you're up next. Welcome.
Hey, Eric, you're killing me. I'm in debt now, or not in debt. You're using up all my savings with these appliances. I just bought a gas stove because of your warnings. My traditional water heater is at the end of its life, so I guess that's going to be another $2,000 to $5,000 for my tankless water heater. I have to stay for 3 hours to watch my dishwasher finish its cycle because, the book said don't leave it suspended. What's next?
So why don't you make your husband wash them faster, Stacy?
I know. And I guess I'm going to have to shop for a hybrid car now since my gas guzzler is probably going to get towed away by the regulators. This is just ridiculous. Middle America needs to wake up and see how this is affecting their pocketbooks. Yes,
amen to that. I mean, we're being directed by a Canadian who is now the Secretary for the Department of Energy. We should not have to rely on a Canadian for guidance for anything in the United States, and yet that's what's going on here. An obnoxious Canadian who tells people, I drive on sunshine, you should too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will pay attention once the movie stars, celebrities, and politicians move away from the coast and offer me their properties at bottom dollar. That's when I'll pay attention.
Amen to that. Yes, exactly. When they give up their jets and their mansions right on the beach. Yes. Stacey, that's a great point. But, I got to tell you, in all seriousness, that water heater of mine, I feel somewhat selfish, guilty saying this because I didn't pay for it. But had I, the amount of money I'm saving every month on my power bill would have paid for the thing in a year. That's the problem with so many of these things the left says, like your heat pump. Jennifer Granholm tells us, well, over the years, you'll actually save enough money to pay for it. Yes, in like 20 years, you'll have saved enough money to pay for it, and you'll have already replaced it by then. That's ridiculous. At least with the water heater, save enough within a year to have paid for it. It's the obnoxiousness of these people. The genuine obnoxiousness of these people to tell us how we must live our lives so they don't have to give up anything. And when you live in a city, listen, I get people like, for example, I just got to say this. I had an angry vegan email me. Now, not that there are ever happy vegans, mind you, but this was a particular angry vegan who said, I'm a vegan. Stop picking on vegans. I love your show, but stop picking on vegans. I love that you love my show, but come on. Vegans are like the easiest people to pick on other than Karens because they're vegans. My kid actually asked me yesterday, we were making bread together, and I was explaining how yeast works. He says, do vegans eat bread because yeast is alive and you've killed the yeast? So do they eat bread? It's like, I would wonder if they did, but then the lettuce was alive too until they murdered it. I mean, we would have more cows in this country, except the vegans have eaten all the cows' food. Cow is like the ultimate vegan meal. Cow is produced by eating grass and corn. There's nothing more vegan in America than a cow because you're literally eating the digested deliciousness of grass and corn in the form of brisket. It's the ultimate vegan meal, but the vegans don't see it that way. Nonetheless, I digress. These people telling us how to live our lives so that they don't have to give up anything. You and I have to give up everything so they don't have to give up anything. It's detestable. And yeah, I do think there's going to be a backlash. And I do think that has something to do with the fact that Donald Trump is tied with Joe Biden in public opinion polling in this country nationwide, despite a majority of Americans thinking he committed a crime, because people are furious about this. And they're starting to dawn on them that their quality of life in the 21st century is being degraded by the climate zealots and Nazis of the world telling them they have to give up everything so those people don't have to give up anything. And then you have a guy like John Kerry lying to Congress about his family's private jet. They don't want to give up anything. They want you to give it up. They wish you didn't exist because you exhale carbon dioxide, and they do too, but there are more of you than there are of them. So if they just eliminated you, they could live a happy, carefree life without anybody to pump their oil to convert to gas to fill up their private jet. These people just don't understand the way the world works. They haven't lived in your shoes. They have not walked the life of someone in the middle class who has struggled. They do not, they're people of privilege, and it's so offensive. All right. When we come back, Lizzo, Jabba no bother, Lizzo has fat shamed people. Yes, that Lizzo, a woman with her own orbital field, is fat shaming other people and getting sued for it. Yeah, I got to talk to you about this story. Did you know China has made it a priority to teach students financial literacy starting in preschool? Financial literacy isn't taught in our elementary schools, and parents lack the resources to teach it at home. American kids are yet again being left behind. Now there's a great way for parents and grandparents to help the kids they love learn about finance, thanks to the Sensibles, and at bcs-kids.com. The Sensibles are a team of animated superheroes who help kids age 6 to 12 develop smart money habits in a fun way. bcs-kids.com was created to channel this multimedia resource to kids everywhere. Buy a subscription for your loved ones, and each month they'll get a Sensibles kit in the mail with an entertaining DVD, comic book, and activities. Digital subscriptions are also available. They'll also get access to an interactive website with a library of lessons, fun activities, and more. Want 20% off the monthly subscription costs? Visit at bcs-kids.com. Enter the promo code ERIC, my name, ERICK. It's the sensible thing to do. Subscribe today at bcs-kids.com. Hello there. It is Eric Erickson here across the nation. I got to comment briefly on this story before we go back to the phones. You know, I'm a sizable guy and I'm working on losing weight. I've lost 15 or so pounds in the last few months. And, you know, the downside of losing weight is you got to buy new clothes, and that's expensive. But I'm not one of those people who thinks that there's nothing wrong with being overweight. There actually is. There are massive health consequences. One reason, and honestly, it's my wife. My wife, battling cancer, decided she needed to get herself in shape, and she started counting her macros, and she lost like 75 pounds, and she eats like cold chicken all the time and drinks protein shakes, and she's gotten herself in shape, and I can't let her out deadlift me. I can deadlift 315 pounds, and she's gotten to her body weight. And I'm like, nope, you can't beat me here. So I'm having to get into shape because my wife can otherwise kick my butt. I mean, she could kick my butt anyway, but you know what I mean. But then along come all these people who are morbidly obese. Like, I could stand to lose a few pounds, but I'm not morbidly obese. I'm not Lizzo. I am not Jabba the Hutt. And you got all these people out there, oh, it's so beautiful. She's so gorgeous. No, she's fat. She's fat. Unhealthily so. And should not be an inspiration for anyone. You got the ad campaign from, what is it? One of the health fitness measures, and they got the super large woman trying to do yoga. I mean, if the poor woman tipped over, she'd register on the Richter scale, and they think it's just perfectly healthy and normal. Listen, I'm not trying to be insulting to you if you're overweight, but it's actually not healthy for you, and most of you realize it, and you're not trying to treat it as some normal, beautiful thing. But then there's Lizzo, who does. And you're supposed to comment on how beautiful she is, and she's not. She's a great voice, talented musician, plays the heck out of the flute, but she's not a healthy person. And now 3 of Lizzo's former, some of you are like, who the heck is Lizzo? Why do I care? 3 of Lizzo's former dancers have accused the singer of sexual harassment and creating a hostile work environment in a lawsuit filed Tuesday. They also allege that she pressured one of them to touch a nude performer at an Amsterdam club and what else do you do at an Amsterdam club? And subjected the group to an excruciating audition after leveling false accusations they were drinking on the job. The dancers accused Lizzo, a performer known for embracing body positivity and celebrating her physique, of calling attention to one dancer's weight gain and later berating, then firing that dancer after she recorded a meeting because of a health condition. The suit also accuses the captain of Lizzo's dance team of proselytizing to other performers and deriding those who had premarital sex while sharing lewd sexual fantasies and things we can't talk about on the radio. Y'all, so many of these people are such hypocrites. I wonder if she just was worried about possibly being overshadowed by someone larger than her on the stage. I don't know. This whole like normalization. It's not healthy. Like, I recognize I got to get myself in better shape and eat better. And the beer and pizza diet doesn't serve you well in your mid 40s. And it's my favorite thing to eat. Beer and pizza is just, I mean, God's gift to mankind, but it makes you fat and you got to change and you can't eat it all the time. And you got all these people out there who want to normalize bad habits and unhealthy lifestyles and say it's no big deal. And as our society crumbles around them with escalating healthcare costs, listen, I get it. I totally do. I'm living that life. Not hypocrite. I'm working on it. But you can't look at the situation and say you're good. I mean, you at least need to recognize that there's always room for self-improvement instead of trying to normalize body positivity when all it means is having to get out of exercising and eating right in the name of redefining what is healthy and normal. Okay, having got that off my chest, I'm going to go back to Brian. Welcome to the show, Brian. How are you?
Hey, Eric. How you doing, brother? Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
What you were talking about earlier was all the cancellation of stoves and all that. On your flagship station this morning, there was a news blurb about incandescent bulbs. I guess they've been banned now. Like, it's illegal for any retailer to sell them now. So we're stuck buying those harsh, expensive LED bulbs.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it is. So here's the thing. The George W. Bush signed an energy law back in 2007 that allowed the remaining stocks of incandescent bulbs to be sold in America, but there was a date by which they had to stop manufacturing them. That date ran through the Obama administration, and when Trump became president, he canceled it and said, keep making incandescent bulbs. The Biden administration, though, now has locked it now in place. The Biden administration has said, effective today, no more incandescent bulbs can be sold. However, there's a tweak about brightness. So I think you can still buy like 25 watt incandescent bulbs, which don't produce a lot of light. The problem is like refrigerators and things like that and garage doors and stuff, they need the incandescent bulbs. So you can still, this is the backdoor loophole, you can buy something branded as a fan light or a garage door opener light. That's an incandescent bulb of certain wattage. But otherwise, you got to go to fluorescents or LEDs. And you don't want the fluorescent bulbs because if the fluorescent bulb shatters, it pours mercury out all over your floor. So here's the thing. What the incandescent bulbs that are not banned, appliance lamps for refrigerators, freezers, ovens, garage doors, black lights, bug lamps, colored lamps, infrared lamps, left-handed thread lamps, plant lights, floodlights, reflector lamps, showcase lamps, traffic signals, and other specialty lights related to marine purposes and others. Otherwise, if you just want a standard for your lamp light bulb, you got to get a LED. I will tell you, LEDs are more expensive, but they also do last a long time, and I really actually like LED bulbs. The big difference between LED bulbs and regular bulbs is that when you flip the light switch, the incandescent bulb comes on immediately. In the LED, there's like a half second, like it's noticeable, a half second before it comes on. But they work great, and you can actually get an LED bulb that produces more light for less power than an incandescent bulb. The downside, however, is that they are more expensive. And they last a long time. This is one of those rare products that the energy people sell you on where you actually save money over time and enough for replacement value because a LED bulb or a LED bulb can last 2 to 3 years, where an incandescent bulb may last you 6 months to a year depending on how much you use it. But it is kind of ridiculous that the incandescent light bulb is one of the most genius inventions on planet Earth, invented by Thomas Edison, and our government is now banning it except in select purposes. It's kind of dumb. You could just allow people to make the switch themselves. We have mostly in my house switched to LEDs because they do last so long and they do produce so much more light. For example, we've got in our house, we got some lamps We got them, I think they were wedding gifts, and they're nice lamps. But you can't put more than like a 40-watt bulb in them or they're going to catch fire. They're going to overheat. And a 40-watt bulb does not produce a lot of light in our living room. Well, I can get an LED that actually produces the equivalent of 100 watts and uses the same power as your standard 40-watt incandescent. So we got really bright lights, and we're not burning the lamps out. And so I like them. I really do like. I hate the fluorescent bulbs. The fluorescent bulbs are a safety hazard, among other things. But you should be able to buy an incandescent light bulb. You should be able to buy. And there are people in this country who do not make a lot of money who buying a lead bulb for their house actually takes a chunk of money. You can buy a case of incandescent light bulbs for about the same price as 2 or 3 LED bulbs. And when you got lamps and light fixtures and fans in your house and you need light bulbs, it adds up. And the poor and the middle class are suffering. And that is why there is such a big shift in this country, I personally think, towards Donald Trump and the Republicans because of these cost of living issues. Your cost of living has gone up dramatically in this country. The cost of bread, the cost of gas, the cost of beef, the cost of groceries generally, educational costs for your kids, all these costs have gone up. And the Democrats are just so, well, your income's going up too a little bit over time, but it's not going up as fast. In fact, when you take the rise of inflation with the rise of incomes, ultimately income's gone down 5%. You're having to deal with this. And the government's doing nothing for you. The government is doing nothing other than exacerbating the problem. And people are furious as a result, and they should be. And the answer from the government is just go buy a new expensive battery-powered car. And if everyone will buy a new expensive battery-powered car, well, the economies of scale will bring the price down. But a lot of you are doing last-minute vacations. Aviation prices, right? So, I'm taking my team on a trip in October. And the CFO of the company's like, we're going to have a loss this month because of your travel. Part of me is I'm telling you this because Charlie's listening, so he knows what's going on and he's not caught off guard and gets mad at me. So I went on in July and bought the tickets because I'd been reading that gas prices were going to spike in towards the end of July and in August, and so everything, including airfare, was going to get more expensive. So it's like I'd rather go on and spend the money today on these plane tickets than wait until September when they're probably going to be even more expensive. And I think, given what's happening with air travel prices, I did right, but it was a big hit to the budget in July. And you're trying to go on last minute family vacations, and travel is expensive by air, and travel is expensive by car, and it's even more expensive if you got a battery-powered car, because your battery-powered car can't get you down to the beach without having to stop more often to refuel. There was a report out yesterday that the Tesla estimates turn out to be overinflated estimates to make you comfortable. And as you drive, your distance begins to degrade more quickly in Tesla than other electric cars. But none of them are fantastic. If we're around the city, look, I wouldn't mind having one because I drive back and forth to Atlanta so much. Wouldn't mind having one. It'd save on the gas bill. But for road trips, my family, we got a big Yukon Denali. We can pack everybody in there, all my wife's luggage and the dog, and we can drive 400 or 500 miles before I got to refuel. You can't do that with the electric-powered car. I can get us all the way to Hilton Head, spend a week, and then refuel on the way home. And I'm fine. With an electric car, I couldn't do that. And neither can you, let alone hold as many people that I can in my Denali. And this is a burden on the middle class. This is a burden on everyone. The force the push to force you into an electric car. It's a bad deal. Trying to get you into different stoves, trying to replace your water heater now, trying to replace your light bulbs. The government keeps adding costs to your life. And they claim they're doing it to save the planet. They claim they're doing it to you. And if you complain, you're the bad person. You are made the bad guy by the left for daring to complain that your costs are going up. They think you are ungrateful for them trying to save your life. When you're trying to save your life, You're trying to save your family. You're trying to save your money, and you can't because of the left. And it is mind-numbing to me at this point that all of the major Republican candidates aren't going there, except one, Donald Trump. Donald Trump has complained repeatedly about how long it takes the dishwashers to wash dishes now. He's complained repeatedly about how bad washing machines operate now. He's complained repeatedly about how you can't take a good shower anymore with good water pressure. He's actually complained about these issues that resonate with the middle class, which is why so many blue-collar workers are going towards Donald Trump, because he, a man who lives at Mar-a-Lago, recognizes those issues in a way the other candidates haven't given voice to. Look, God bless Ron DeSantis for running as the anti-woke candidate, but there's a whole section of anti-woke related to the cost of doing business and the cost of living your life that he hasn't tapped in on. This Brahman caste system in America, the Upper West Side of New York, they're setting the rules for the rest of us, the ESG standards and the like that ruin our retirements and drive up our costs. And if you're going to go anti-woke and fight Disney, fight this stuff too vocally. And he hasn't. This is why he needs to do this economic pivot and stay there. Well, I'm reading more about the Lizzo story, and it's things I am not allowed to discuss on radio. What a disgusting person. My goodness. All right. My goodness. I spoke about vegans earlier, and the angry vegan email I got from someone who likes the show, and I'm trying not to be insulted because she likes the show, but she doesn't want me to talk about vegans. Vegan influencer Zahana Samsonova has died of starvation after subsisting exclusively on a diet of exotic fruit in Malaysia. She was 39 years old. The Russian national, who frequently promoted raw foods on social media where she was known to her millions of viewers, died July 21st after finally seeking medical treatment during a tour of Southeast Asia. A few months ago in Sri Lanka, she already looked exhausted with swollen legs, oozing lymph, one unidentified friend said. They sent her home to seek treatment. However, she ran away again. When I saw her in Phuket, I was horrified. She looked skeletal. Apparently had a cholera-like infection. She had a completely raw vegan diet for 4 years, consuming just fruits, sunflower, seed sprouts, fruit smoothies, and juice. This is a shame. And she looked like she was starving to death. Can I say something? I don't care whether you're a vegan or not. I don't care whether you're a vegetarian. I don't care whether you're on the keto diet. I don't care what diet you're on. What I care greatly about is that so many people decide that their choice is the right choice for everyone else when it comes to a diet, that their choice is the right choice for everybody else, that everybody else should be vegan too. And everybody should know that I'm a vegan. A CrossFitter and a vegan and an atheist walked into a bar. The only reason we know is all three made sure everybody knew about it. I mean, that's the old joke. I don't really care. But what I care greatly about as well are these social media influencers who are pushing our kids towards unhealthy trends and lifestyles. They're causing covetousness. They're causing just body dysmorphia issues. It's these people are not showing their authentic selves online, and our kids, or your kids, because my kids aren't on social media for the most part, other than Instagram, they don't understand. I try to show my messy life online, probably more than I should, because I want to be transparent and relational with my audience. But a lot of these social media influencers, and I follow some, I know some, they never have a bad day on social media. And their diet is always absolutely perfect, and my gosh, they're never constipated. And it's not a healthy thing for them. It's not a healthy thing for the people who follow them. It breeds depression and jealousy and covetousness, and it's not good. Not good at all. And this poor young lady died trying to promote her raw vegan diet and probably ate something that wasn't very clean and got a cholera-like infection and didn't have much anyway, no body fat at all to begin with, and withered away and died. It's sad, and we're going to find more and more of this, I think, over time. Social media influencing can be a disease, and it infects a lot of people, and that's just terrible, particularly for your kids. Get your kids off social media. Keep them off of it. We block Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and everything. Not Instagram, but the others. All of that, our kids can't get on.
Safeway has everything you need for your Easter celebration. This week at Safeway, get bone-in Signature Select Classic Ham, shank, half, or whole for the member price of 87 cents per pound while supplies last. Plus, get 13 to 16 ounces of Challenge or Danish Creamery butter for $2.97 each with digital coupon limit 4. Also this week at Safeway, get 15 to 30 ounces of Best Foods mayonnaise for just $2.99 each with digital coupon limit 1. Visit Safeway.com or head in store for more deals.